Warning, this video contains team selection and captain choices which some viewers may find offensive.
Hey guys, and welcome back to FPL TV. Before starting my team review, I'd like to quickly tell you about the Football Index, who have very kindly sponsored this video. The Football Index is the only platform that allows fans to become traders in a football stock market by buying and selling shares in players. So, just like fantasy football, you can use your knowledge to speculate which players will perform well in one game or throughout their career, and then make a profit by earning dividends if your players excel. Get started in building your portfolio by clicking the link in the description box below or downloading the app today. As you know from last week, my free transfer was Timo Pukki going out and Jamie Vardy coming in for his nice run of good fixtures and his fine form. He managed one goal away to Palace, so that turned out to be a positive move, and I'm now happy to own him for the foreseeable future. The one letdown up front though still remains to be Callum Wilson, who unsurprisingly has completely disappeared since I brought him in. It literally feels like I'm going into each game week with 10 men whilst owning Wilson, but I don't want to fall into that same trap of losing patience, selling him, and then seeing him hit form again. So for now, I'm determined to keep hold and hope it pays off. It was a poor showing from midfield, with both Kevin De Bruyne and Raheem Sterling blanking at home to Southampton, a side who were thumped 9-0 in the previous game week. Granted, there was always that chance that Southampton could respond, but I still can't regret captaining Sterling in this one. It just seemed like an obvious and sensible choice. Ultimately, if Sterling is going to blank at home to Southampton, especially considering the circumstances going into that game week, you just have to put it down as rotten luck. I truly believe that. Last week, I made two more decisions following my team video. The first was to bench Otamendi despite being at home to Southampton, and the second was to sell Hudson-Odoi even though I'd only recently signed him. The reason for this on both accounts was that I feared them being benched in their respective games, and potentially then coming off the bench for a 1-point cameo in FPL. The good news was I was correct in my thinking, with both Otamendi and Hudson-Odoi getting just a single point. The negative though is that my replacements both flopped as well. Van Dijk was my other defender, so I played him over Otamendi and he only got the 1 point of his own. I was so keen to swap Van Dijk to Robertson last week, but for a -4 hit, it just didn't feel like a sensible move losing 4 points for a defender. I did end up taking a -4 hit though in midfield, removing Hudson-Odoi and taking a punt on Martial of United, who at just 5% ownership seemed an exciting differential. Unfortunately, it was a move that didn't pay off though, with Martial blanking, so that's a net loss of 3 points for that transfer. It was a poor performance from United in general, and I'm already feeling slight regret in bringing him in. But with me lingering so low in the rankings at this point, I thought it was time to maybe take a few more risks, but inevitably it didn't pay off on this occasion. The real story of the game week though was of course the man, the myth, the legend John Lundstram with an unforgettable 21-pointer. Starting my season with Lundstram is probably the only positive of my season so far, and at this point it feels like he really is a set and forget option that we just need to leave in our starting 11 from now on. So for game week 11, my team have scored 61 points with a -4 hit last week. Compared to the last few game weeks, of course it's an improvement. However, in the context of the game week, with lots of managers posting scores of 65 plus, it still feels a very underwhelming tally. Unfortunately, it was only enough for me to tread water this week, moving from 2.4 up to 2.3 million. Still a long way off the pace. The problem with my team is that the only players actually returning points, like Abraham, Vardy and Lundstram, are already now so heavily owned, therefore points from them do very little for my overall ranking. So let's move on to game week 12 now and discuss my potential moves before Friday's game week deadline. And as always, if you enjoy the content here at FPL TV, be sure to drop a like on the video and most importantly get subscribed to the channel. The glaring issue in my team currently is of course Otamendi, who is now out of favour and his price is dropping rapidly. Man City also have a more difficult run of games coming up, so he's the obvious one to make way. As mentioned many times already, upgrading Van Dijk to Andy Robertson is another move I still plan to make as soon as possible. However, because I've chosen to wait until the Champions League games finish this week, both Otamendi and Van Dijk have now dropped in price, so I can no longer afford the straight swap of Van Dijk up to Robertson. I'm not too bothered about this though, because Robertson does face Man City this week anyway. So the plan now is to ship out Otamendi this game week for one defender, and then use the freed up cash to move on Van Dijk to Robertson in game week 13. At the moment, there's plenty of very decent budget defenders, with the likes of Rico, Soyuncu, Tomori, or a second Sheffield United defender all in my thinking before Friday. Arguably, it's Chelsea's Tomori that has the best fixture this game week at home to Palace, but it's Chelsea looking a bit suspect defensively in general that does put me off a bit, as well as his lack of goal threat. As things stand, it's Rico that I'm leaning towards, because at just 4.3 million he's the cheapest of the lot, and therefore it's a bit more cash freed up, and he's then cheaper to bench if needed. Rico has also shown very decent attacking threat this season, already racking up 2 assists, and is currently ranked 4th for defenders for chances created. So Otamendi will definitely be going out this week. I just have to decide which defender to bring in, so let me know what you guys think. As for the team lineup, it's not looking particularly strong for game week 12. The strike force looks decent on paper, but I'm not expecting many points from anywhere else. Hopefully I'm wrong. It was always going to be a difficult week to manoeuvre with Man City and Liverpool facing each other, but the plan now is just to persevere through this difficult game week and then reassess things over the international break where I'll have time to weigh up a few stronger moves. My thoughts this game week is to bench Van Dijk at home to Man City, as you'd have to think it's unlikely they'll keep a clean sheet here. Alexander-Arnold will stay though for his superb attacking contributions so far this season. Norwich's Todd Cantwell does have a nice fixture at home to Watford this week, but with Onel Hernandez now back in the side, it could be another appearance from the bench for the young winger. The captaincy this week has been one I've eyed up for a while. Chelsea's Abraham at home to Palace does look a very solid option, but even 2 game weeks ago when I sold Son, I did so with the view to bring in Jamie Vardy and then captain him for game week 12 at home to Arsenal. The Gunners have an aura of negativity around them at the moment, and Vardy does love a goal against them. In the Premier League, it's actually his favourite team to play, with 8 goals in 8 games against the Gunners. So that's my potential team lineup heading into game week 12. No transfer is confirmed yet, and I'll be waiting for all the European games to finish before I make any moves, just in case there's any unexpected injuries. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to get subscribed to FPL TV if you haven't already. Good luck to all of you watching for game week 12, FPL responsibly, and I'll catch you all very soon.